Hi, America. Welcome to the first episode of Trunks
and Asses.
So we wanted to get into our program, and we're going to kick off and let you guys know how our show kind of works. So we're going to start off with our quote.
This segment is called History Repeats Itself. So we take a quote and we talk about how it affects politics today. Today's quote is from our 44th president, Barack Obama. Says, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And that is particularly important right now, especially with November right around the corner. We have one of the biggest elections coming up in recent history and in recent memory. And it is of vital importance that every single American citizen that is eligible and able get out and vote in November.
Yeah, it is most definitely your constitutional right, and everyone should get out and register to vote who is eligible to register and vote. And once you're registered to vote, it is vital and important for you to go and exercise that right to vote. Get out there and vote. Cast your ballot. It's up to you.
Absolutely. It takes a simple Google search, people. A lot of times you can do it online. In Tennessee, we have an app that you can literally register to vote on your phone right then and there. It's so simple. It's so easy. There's no reason that you should not do it. And you can make every excuse in the world that you want to, but it is your constitutional right and your civic duty to participate in our democratic process.
All right, so now we're going to get into our topic of the day. In the future, we're planning on having a trunk along the lines of our show. We're going to open up the trunk. We'll pick out the topic, and you guys will get to see that. But today we have a topic that is front and center in the news. It is the Supreme Court nomination of now Justice Brett Kavanaugh. That has been a very divisive issue between the left and the right, between Republicans and Democrats, and people feel very strongly about that. So we're going to kind of open up the trunk. We're going to dive into that. So personally, I feel that Justice Kavanaugh was the right selection. He should have been confirmed. And I think that the right judgment was made and the right call, and he definitely should have been confirmed.
But let's talk about this confirmation hearing for a minute, okay?
Okay.
So, Dr. Ford,
yes,
she come forward and she makes a statement. She sent an email to Dianne Feinstein, her senior senator from the state of California, and the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, about a sexual assault that supposedly happened back when her and Brett Kavanaugh were in high school.
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Okay.
She can't remember where it was at.
Yes.
She can't remember who was there.
Yes.
She can't remember what happened exactly. Mm-hmm. And nobody that she said was there
corroborate
her story. There are no corroborating evidence. She didn't make a statement to the police. She didn't make a statement to her parents. She said that she didn't want to be caught drinking and all that stuff, which is understandable. But I am a survivor of sexual assault. Excuse me. It's the beer, y'all. It's been a couple. But I can tell you every single detail about the room. I can tell you who was in the house. I can tell you exactly where it happened. And that was well over 20 years ago.
So do you believe her?
No, I don't. I wanted to. I really, really wanted to. But recently I found out, I watched the testimony and I started to believe her. And then I found out that as a part of her career, she has actually taught people how to beat lie detector tests and how to convey certain emotions and basically trick people. And when I first heard that, I thought that was kind of hard to believe because I didn't think anybody was really that smart to be able to do it. But you had made a good point offline when we were talking about this that, even actors, if you've ever seen a movie, an actor can trick you into believing that a false reality is real.
Yep.
Daniel Radcliffe did an amazing job in that in Harry Potter. And shout out, I'm a huge nerd. We play Harry Potter, saying it a lot.
Yes.
So that's why we did that. But I wanted to so badly. I wanted to feel as outraged as everybody else in my party. But that common sense factor just kicked in, and I just couldn't do it.
And see, that's what kind of led me down the path of where I was on the whole conversation and the topic is there were just too many inconsistencies and there were too many of those coincidences that were hanging out there. And it started from the way that Dianne Feinstein released that information to the public.
It was a political ploy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She got it, and she said that it was because Dr. Ford had asked her to keep that secret, which, one, if you're going to want someone to keep that secret, one, do you send it to a total stranger? No.
No.
Two, do you send it to a total stranger who is sitting on a committee that is about to go and discuss the future of a nominee who is sitting in front of you? No. And three, why would you take something in July and you hold it and you hold it and you hold it and you go, okay, it's about time for us to vote, slam it out there in September? That makes absolutely no sense except for as a political grandstand.
As a political grandstand. And let's not only mention the fact that this is not the first time Judge Kavanaugh's been up for confirmation.
Yes.
This is not the first time he's been investigated by the FBI. So why, after 30 some odd years, would you come out and this is why I wanted to believe her, okay? It's because my thought process was, why would you put your family through that? Why would you put your family through the ridicule and the persecution of the media and just basically have your entire family and your entire reputation ripped apart for an accusation that you made 30 some odd years later? When this man has been in front of Congress several times before.
Yep.
To be appointed to other judiciary positions. The only thing that I have against Judge Kavanaugh, and it's a very minute thing, he's never prosecuted a case. He's never tried a case in an open courtroom.
And I can understand that because I've worked for within the legal system before. I was actually a volunteer for the Legal Aid Society in New York, and I know a lot of people are going to find that hard to believe because I am a very strong conservative lean, but I volunteered for the Legal Aid Society in New York. I helped to work on cases for people who did not have the means and who I absolutely believe that the system was stacked against, which is very ironic, especially considering how left-leaning New York City is. The system is stacked against those people, but that goes into another topic we will get into much later, where I say that the system isn't stacked against people racially, it's economically, and I think it has a lot to do with the ultimate leans of the parties. But okay, as I said, we'll unpack that one on another time. But
stay tuned.
Yep. With this case, the reason why, and I tried to do the same thing because I have a daughter, I'm married, I have sisters, I obviously have a mother, I have a stepmother. I wanted to go, why would a woman do this and what would she have to gain? Well, here's what I came up with. She is an educator. She works in the educational system that is very much so started to lean left. The educational system used to be about higher educational system used to be about giving students the opportunity to learn who they were. Now it's about telling them where they should lean and where they should go. There's no more of that independent educational system in my view. People might feel differently. She is in a left-leaning state, California. She is a registered Democrat and an ardent liberal supporter. this could garner her support there. And then I've come to find out she has 650,000 reasons to make this lean. She has a GoFundMe page where people have poured in with support and poured in financially, and that money is going to go and benefit her pocket. Why does she need a GoFundMe page if she is truly trying to do something that she thinks is in the best interest of the country? And she is a higher educated college professor who doesn't need the money. I guarantee you she makes more than $100,000 a year. Why does she have a GoFundMe page?
Right.
These are just things that are these coincidences that just stick out. And then I get into the coincidences of how is it that people who she says were in these places say, I was not necessarily where she said I was at that time.
Or I wasn't even there.
Yeah,
or I don't even remember a party that she's talking about.
Exactly.
Or I have no idea what she's talking about. There's just so many inconsistencies with this. And this ties into a deeper subject with the Me Too movement and, sexual assault and rape and everything like that. We're not saying and we're not condoning sexual assault.
No.
We're not condoning rape.
I am actually... on being a conservative, from my conservative views, and I'm not going to speak for you, Jacob. I don't know how you personally feel towards what I'm about to say, so I don't think I've ever actually told you this. I feel like the punishment for sexual assault and for child molestation is not severe enough. Child molestation, especially, I think should be much more severe, and I believe personally that there are people who the death penalty should probably be enacted, especially for those who are habitual rapers and child molesters, because they have proven themselves to me, much like serial killers, that they are not open to rehabilitation. And so I'm not in any way condoning the sexual assault, in particular in rape, because those are heinous crimes that are perpetrated against women, and they've been used even in military forms as weapons. There's weaponized rape.
We've prosecuted war criminals for it.
So I do not in any way condone that.
No,
but
my grandfather once said he was serving on a jury of a guy that was accused of child molestation, and the judge asked him, could he be biased or could he be unbiased in this situation, being what the guy was accused of. And it's a small town. The county to this day, the current population in 2010 was 2,700 people in the entire county. So it's very, very rural, very small. Everybody knew what happened. And my grandfather looked at the judge and he said, I have a good piece of rope in the back of my truck right now, and there's a good sturdy oak tree right in front of the courthouse. As far as I'm concerned, that some bitch can hang from the tallest branch from noon before noon today. And I'm right there behind him. There's no way that I support this or support rape or sexual assault. And I do believe that if a woman or a man or a child or anyone comes forward and makes an accusation, that it needs to be investigated,
yes,
that it needs to be taken seriously, that it needs to be believed at first. But we live in a time now that there are people on the left, the extreme left, that want you to believe. They say it's believing women. Well, I would disagree with that. I believe women when they come out and they say something, up to the point that they can't corroborate it. And if there's no corroborated evidence, then there's nothing for me to go on but his word versus yours. And sometimes not every system is perfect, and there will be a failure somewhere in there, and some person will be telling the truth and there won't be any evidence. But we cannot just simply ruin someone's life based on an accusation. And, you know, my biggest criticism of Judge Kavanaugh originally was the fact that he lost his temper. But the more I have thought about that and meditated on that, how many times, and you brought this point up when I said that earlier offline, how many times can somebody sit there and make an accusation about you and say that you sexually assaulted somebody over and over and over and over again, publicly, in front of your wife, in front of your 2 daughters, in front of all your friends, in front of everybody you've ever known? How much are you supposed to sit there and take it?
Yeah. And at the apex of his career.
Right.
This is what every lawyer, every judge, if you were truly immersed in the law and wanting to be the best at your career, that's the apex of your career.
Exactly. Sitting on the highest court of the land.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I support Judge Kavanaugh. I didn't. But in this particular aspect of this part of the nomination, he has certain positions that I disagree with. I disagree with him ideologically. But in the end, insulting his character for a political move? Seriously?
I think, and that's where the show, what our goal is. We're trying to show that you can have these conversations and that we're not truly, as Americans, that far apart. We're really a group of, as a larger country, that sits in the middle. And the two extremes of each of these poles have started to rule the parties, and they're what's dragging us down this pathway to where we get to this point of where we can't have the conversation. We drag somebody's names in the mud. We're willing to take anything that we can and use it for a political step and a political gain. I think that's well beyond what any person who is rational in this country wants to do, what our founding fathers set forth, and how this process was set about to be. I mean, until Neil Gorsuch, every person who has been on the Supreme Court had gotten on the Supreme Court with 98 or 100 votes. And that includes Clarence Thomas, who I personally believe did sexually harass Anita Hill, and there was evidence of it. And he got 98 votes. How does that happen? And then we get to a time where now it is purely political. If someone has the potential of serving and they will do a good job and they've shown themselves worthy as far as their understanding of the law and the precedent, then they should be able to get there. And I think a lot of what people are using now are those red herring issues. And this really comes out from, it started from when Justice Kavanaugh was first put forward, that they said, well, he's going to repeal, he's going to get rid of productive rights. And a lot of celebrities are using that. If the right were going to get rid of reproductive rights, we would have done it when we had the absolute majority and the White House when George W. Bush first got into office. And we did nothing. They tried to use the red herring of they're going to restrict the marriage rights of people who are in the LGBTQ community. If we were going to do that, we would have written a constitutional amendment at that time, because if I remember correctly, even the political atmosphere of the general public, when the CNN and other sources did polls, was like 74% of the people agreed that gay marriage should not be legal. And there was an absolute majority in both houses and the presidency could have pushed that thing right through. And it did not happen.
It didn't happen because they don't want those positions to go anywhere. They garner too many votes from them. They garner too much support from them. So to think that to think that Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Alito and Justice Thomas and all the rest of the conservatives on the court are going to get together and all of a sudden turn over Roe versus Wade and all of a sudden turn over marriage equality and take away all these rights, and everything is completely asinine and completely crazy. Because, again, like Kenneth just said, if they were going to do it, they would have done it a long time ago. And as crazy and as Washington is right now, and as radical as Washington is right now, if they would have done it, if they were going to do it, they would have done it at this point. I believe, again, I do not agree with Justice Kavanaugh politically. I have ideological disagreements with him. But to insult his, and I will say it again, to insult a man's character just because you don't want him to have a job is the most disgraceful thing I think my party has done in a very, very, very long time. That was a political ploy by Dianne Feinstein and Democratic leadership to hold on to that email and that information for that long. If it was a serious accusation, they should have came forward when they found out Justice Kavanaugh was on the short list for Donald Trump's replacement of Justice Kennedy.
Right, and I completely agree. And so that you guys know, we don't agree on every political topic, and you will see that along the way here. But this is just...
we disagree vehemently sometimes, and there are points that we have to get up from the table and we have to say, okay, we agree to disagree.
Yes, and you'll see that along the way here, and
especially when we talk about abortion and things like that, because that's a sensitive issue.
And you'll get to see them because the midterm elections are now just weeks away, and we're moving into that home stretch. So again, please everybody get out and go vote.
Please, please, please. Whether you vote for either side, it doesn't matter. Your constitutional right has been protected by the blood of men and women that have served their country in foreign seas and on this soil. You have a unique opportunity in this country to have your voices heard. We're dealing with, not to jump too far off topic right now, but the Saudi Arabian government killed a journalist because he wrote something they didn't like.
Yes.
That does not happen in this country. Why? Because the people hold the power. I don't care what you think, what crazy conspiracy theory you think, whatever side you believe, wherever you politically align yourself. It has never been more important than right now in this political climate to make sure that moderates get out and moderates are heard, because the extremes on both sides have the microphone, and it's time we took it back.
Yes, it is. So, speaking of people on both sides who we think
is this the orange hat?
Yes, this is.
Oh my God.
This is our asses of the week. So, our asses, and this is the other segment of our trunks and asses that we'll like to bring out to you guys. Senator Orrin Hatch, who is a Republican senator from Utah, is our ass of the week. And why do you ask? Because of the statement that I'm about to read to you. Senator Hatch, coming out of the hearings with Dr. Ford, was asked, "So, Senator, what did you think about her testimony?" He said, and I quote, "It's too early to say. I don't think she's uncredible. I think she's an attractive, good witness." To which the reporter said, "I'm sorry, Senator, did you say attractive? What do you mean attractive?" He said, "But it's way too early. In other words, she's pleasing." I get what he was going for, what he was trying to say, but Senator, you have been in office for multiple terms, and I personally believe in term limits, and this would be an example of why, because I think there comes that point of time where you've been there too long. But if you're going to be a senator and you're going to represent the people of not just Utah but of the United States, you definitely should gauge the words that you're about to use rather carefully, and I would not use the words attractive and pleasing when talking about a person who is testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee about a possible sexual assault. It's just my feelings, and I would have, and if I was his aide, I would have grabbed the senator after he first said she was attractive and said, "I'm sorry, the senator has a meeting that he has to go to. Please refer all questions to his office."
So this is the moment that I feel so sorry for communication staff in Washington, because your entire job is to make sure that your boss knows what to say when he's surprised by reporters and stuff, but they never listen to you. And at this point, if I was Senator Hatch's communication director, I would probably jump out my office window, because I don't really know. What? How? And again, we all know what he's trying to say. We get, he's trying to say she's an attractive witness, that she seems believable, she seems credible, she's intelligent, she's well-spoken, she's articulate, she's all these things. And we get that. But come on, Senator. You were a prosecutor for many, many years. Your entire job before you went to, and arguably still today, is made with spoken word and the words that you choose to say. Think before you speak. Please.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in to our first episode. We hopefully will get better as we keep going along. We'll bring in more conversations. We'll bring in more topics. If you guys have any comments, please submit them below. Subscribe. Please let us know how you feel.
And follow us on social media. I'm at Big Blue Warren on Twitter and Instagram. Jacob Warren on Facebook.
And I'm at Right Kind of Black on Twitter. So, I mean, I pretty much say how I feel. So please follow us. Please subscribe, and we will be back. We'll have more content. We'll be out there for you guys. We will get into some of the hardest hitting topics and debates, and believe me, we have a lot more coming at you. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Trunks
and Asses.